Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. My name is Peter Loshak. Today is Thursday, August 24th, and of course, coming up this Saturday, August 26th, in Las Vegas is finally the Conor McGregor Floyd Mayweather showdown. We're going to break it down right now from a betting and odds perspective and possible prop bets with maybe betting value with our regular combat sports odds expert guest, Andreas Hale. Andreas Hale, thanks for being back with us.
Hey, thanks for having me once again.
All right, so here we are. It's, I mean, obviously this is a, a spectacle, basically an exhibition here, but I guess there are some interesting factors that are worth analyzing as far as possible betting value is concerned, both on the total, the side, and props. So let's get into it. I think the first main factor, the most important factor here that everyone has to assess is Conor McGregor going to be at a huge disadvantage because he doesn't have his usual arsenal of MMA tools to use and only going to be able to try to beat Mayweather with boxing because clearly Conor McGregor does qualify as a world-class athlete. The question is just, and this isn't like when Michael Jordan, tried to play baseball or Tim Tebow playing baseball. I mean, this is still combat sports. It's just going from MMA to boxing. How much of a knock is this on Gregor? How much of a negative is it that he's only going to be able to box here?
A huge negative.
Okay.
Because look at it like this. Conor McGregor is a decathlete who runs the decathlon. He does all the hurdles, the pole vaulting, the swimming. He does them all exceptionally well. But he couldn't beat Usain Bolt in the 100-meter dash. And what he's doing is he's competing with Floyd Mayweather on his turf in something that Floyd Mayweather has dedicated his entire life to, which is boxing. This is not mixed martial arts. This is a particular discipline that Floyd Mayweather has mastered. He's not just good at it. He's mastered it. For 2 decades being the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. And Conor McGregor stepping into his world, and he's learning while Floyd Mayweather is training. So he's at a significant disadvantage.
He is clearly, though, a world-class combat sport, a world-class MMA athlete, right?
Yeah, he's a world-class MMA athlete, but, the nuances of boxing are so there's so many different things like spacing and clinch work and learning how to hide your punches. I mean, look at Conor McGregor's MMA career and tell me how many times he's actively blocked a punch.
Right.
It's a completely different world here. Using your feet to move, not having to worry about somebody kicking you, so you can actually throw an uppercut. Uppercuts aren't necessarily thrown in MMA. Guys don't duck their heads down like they do in boxing and MMA because they're in fear of taking a knee.
Right.
Everything is different for Conor McGregor, and no matter what he tells us and what he tries to sell us, he's not going to know how to deal with Floyd Mayweather leaning on the ropes because you don't do that in an octagon. So everything is different, and it's like the tiniest of things that are going to be worlds apart when they finally step in the ring on Saturday night.
All right, and you don't think that in the time that McGregor has had to prepare for this, that he was able to familiarize himself with all those aspects of boxing sufficiently to make him competitive here?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Floyd Mayweather's taken 20 years and dedicated, like I said, while Conor is learning boxing, Floyd is training.
Right.
And it's so different. When Floyd talks about the lights come on, it is going to be truly different because it's a muscle memory for Floyd Mayweather.
Sure.
Whereas Conor McGregor, he's still learning a lot of these things and learning what he can and can't do or how to properly throw a punch. I mean, if you look at how boxers throw punches versus how MMA fighters throw punches, they're completely different. Boxers throw through people. MMA fighters throw to hit their opponent. It's so different. And yeah, the time that Conor has spent training, I think he gets beaten by mediocre boxers, and he's stepping in there with the best fighter that's done it to this generation.
All right, interesting breakdown, Andreas Hale. Yeah, I mean, you do hear a lot of talk from MMA guys and from boxing guys about their training is so that when they get in the ring, they don't have to think about it. And someone who's still in the process of making all that stuff second nature is at a big disadvantage. And that might be the issue with Conor McGregor. All right, key factor number 2, Andreas Hale, is age. Obviously, Conor McGregor is in his prime. Whatever his skill set is, he's clearly physically in his prime. And Floyd Mayweather undoubtedly was in his prime in his late 20s and now 40 years old. That has to be at least a little bit of a negative for McGregor, or you think not?
No, again, I think the skills and the technique, there's a difference between when Roy Jones Jr. was a pound-for-pound great versus Floyd Mayweather. Roy Jones Jr. relied heavily on reflexes and athletic ability. those things deteriorate over years. Floyd Mayweather relied heavily on being in tip-top shape, as he calls it, but he never lost the fundamentals of what he did. Similar to Bernard Hopkins, who relied heavily on his fundamentals to get him through. Floyd just remains a superior athlete. So you combine those two things, a high boxing IQ, superior technique, and an insane workout regimen, and you put him in there with a Conor McGregor, who, yes, he is at his prime, but the nuances of the sport, it's like taking LeBron James and having Clayton Kershaw pitch against him, because Kershaw's still a master pitcher. I hate to use Kershaw because he's still relatively young, but there are older pitchers who could still strike out LeBron James. Regardless of his physical prime, it's technique, and you can't learn those things in a couple of months.
Yeah. All right. And now a key factor number 3 that we have to address, of course, is Floyd Mayweather and Justin Bieber used to be BFFs, and recently Bieber blocked Mayweather on Instagram. Or no, I'm kidding around. I guess that is a factor, though. What do you think about Floyd Mayweather's mental state going into this fight? Do you think he's taking Conor McGregor too easily? Is he distracted by the circus involved? Because I actually found out about the Justin Bieber issue from an article that you wrote for Yahoo Sports. We saw the same thing with like Ronda Rousey and fighters going back 20, 30 years. When there's a media circus surrounding them heading into a fight, and to a big time fight like this, sometimes they can get distracted.
Yeah, not Floyd Mayweather.
No.
I mean, I speak so highly of him on this thing because I've been around him for 10 plus years, and I've watched him deal with controversy and things happening in his camp, and it's never affected him. He truly knows how to put the blinders on when it's time to work. Other fighters, they don't know how to do it. The Ronda Rouseys of the world, they get sucked up into this world of entertainment and everything else. But Floyd is so well rehearsed and so disciplined that this won't affect him. Bieber won't affect him. Conor McGregor talking won't affect him. It actually takes a lot of pressure off Floyd Mayweather that Conor's doing all the talking.
Right.
He doesn't have to sell the fight. All Floyd Mayweather has to do is sell Conor to people as a credible opponent. And while we're talking about a show about the betting lines, he's done such a great job that we have the most fascinating betting line that I think I've ever seen for a guy who's never boxed a round professionally in his life. It's unbelievable.
And he's going up against a guy who's never lost a fight. Exactly, who's never lost a fight in his life. All right, so right now we have these are lines for 5 dimes as of August 24th. Floyd Mayweather minus 570, Conor McGregor plus 435. So obviously, the market is giving Mayweather a huge likelihood of winning this fight, but less than 90%. And the total is interesting as well. It's scheduled to be a 12-round fight, 9.5 rounds. The over is plus 170, and the under is minus 200. So according to these market odds, the market is expecting Mayweather to win here, and not by decision, expecting a finish by Mayweather. You think that, and of course Mayweather, it's been a long time since Mayweather has been a guy who has finished guys at all, let alone relatively early in fights. Since he's in recent years, he's been winning decisions. Fights have been going the distance. So what do you think? You think this is going to be different, and McGregor's going to be so overmatched that even at 40 years old, Mayweather is suddenly going to become a guy who's likely to get a knockout?
Yeah, and here's why.
Really? Wow.
Conor McGregor has no off switch. Look, if you look at all Floyd Mayweather's fights for the past, since he knocked out, we'll go back to the Hatton fight because we won't count the Victor Ortiz fight because there's controversy. People that Floyd have hit have changed their game plan. They start reducing the amount of punches they throw. You can see the activity decreasing, and it's all because of things that Floyd Mayweather does. But if you give him something, he's going to give you back something. And if you look at the Ricky Hatton fight, Ricky Hatton kept coming, and eventually he ran into a check hook that knocked him out. Marcos Maidana didn't really have an off switch, but his cardio was insane, and I don't think Floyd Mayweather truly knew what he was in for with the first Maidana fight. The second Maidana fight, he used his feet. Conor McGregor doesn't have an off switch. And what I mean by that is, if Conor McGregor hurts, his boxing IQ isn't high enough to consider survival. His ego won't allow him to consider survival. If you ask Shane Mosley, if you watch the Manny Pacquiao fight, if you look at the Maidana fights, if you look at Robert Guerrero, if you look at Canelo Alvarez, there comes a point around the 6th round where they realize they're not going to win this fight, and they just kind of say, okay, he's going to let me hang around. Conor's not going to stop. Whether he's tired or not, his ego is never going to let him sit on that stool and give up. So eventually he's going to run himself into something. And I think my official prediction is 8th round stoppage. I think the combination of Floyd's body work with Conor's questionable cardio, because he gassed against Nate Diaz and turned his back and ran on him in the second fight. You can't do that against Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
So 36 minutes versus a 25-minute fight against a master boxer who is a pretty efficient body puncher who's going to sap the energy out of you. I'm predicting that there's going to be a barrage of punches and the ref's going to jump in around this mid to late rounds to end this fight.
All right. So you think McGregor is just looking at this as, a spectacle and a payday, and that he's not actually going to have a strategy that he thinks can actually win. Like he sort of knows what he's in for and is going to accept the loss.
No, that's the problem. This is why I think he's going to get knocked out. I think Conor really truly believes he's going to win this fight. Conor's not a guy that I've ever been around that I've ever felt like he's blowing smoke. I think he's very honest with his opinions of himself, and he thinks very highly of himself, and he thinks he's going to win this fight, which leads me to believe that naive assessment of his ability is going to cost him huge when he finds out he's in over his head. And, once you're bleeding in the water, I'm not saying Floyd Mayweather is necessarily a shark, but if you keep swimming towards the shark is going to eat you. So Floyd is eventually going to eat Conor McGregor. And it's all because of Conor McGregor. It's not necessarily anything that Floyd's going to do different than his other opponents. He just is going to assess the risk in the first couple of rounds, realize Conor has nothing for him, and allow Conor to walk himself into danger and doom.
So you don't think that McGregor's going to have that McGregor knows that he has to be conditioned to be able to go 12 rounds, and that that his handlers and his camp are addressing that and preparing for it?
He's preparing for it, but it's different. The biggest red flag was him sparring 12 rounds with Paulie Malignaggi. And I say that because you don't spar 12 rounds with anybody when you're preparing for a fight. You bring a fresh body in there every 3 or 4 rounds. Anybody in boxing knows that. Sparring with a Paulie Malignaggi who's essentially getting off his couch from doing commentary doesn't help you prepare for Floyd Mayweather. But in Conor McGregor's mind and his team's mind, because you got to remember, he doesn't have an elite boxing coach in his camp. He's not even sparring with elite boxers. He's sparring with guys that he knows, and Paulie Malignaggi, who was retired and well past his prime. It's not going to help you get ready for Floyd Mayweather. But in his head, Conor has such a belief in his ability that he thinks that he's conditioned for a 12-round fight with Floyd Mayweather. He thinks that Floyd Mayweather's head is too small and he punches too hard. Those 8-ounce gloves are going to make a difference. That belief will be his demise. And his team's preparing him for it. But again, it's so much different when you finally step into the ring. I mean, we've all done something. We've all ordered too much off of the menu, have the food put in front of us, and we've tried to eat it all. We really think we're going to eat that meal, but we can't. We get to a point where we just can't do it. But Conor McGregor is different because his ego's not going to allow him to push that plate away. He's going to continue to try to consume it. And that's what's going to end him. Like I said, I think mid to late rounds he's going to get stopped.
All right.
It's his own fault.
So your assessment of Conor McGregor is that he is a little bit deluded in terms of his own abilities and where he fits in the whole scheme of things in terms of boxing and MMA.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in MMA, I think the guy, he's intelligent. There's nothing about Conor McGregor that doesn't make him a student of the game. But there comes a time when you come in over your head, and this is one of those situations.
Okay, well, Mayweather to win inside the distance is -153, so you don't have to lay -500, -600. Do you think that's a good bet, Mayweather to win inside the distance at -153?
Absolutely, yes. There's few times where I've seen Floyd Mayweather say he's going to stop somebody, and I think he means it. But I think he really means it at this point. I don't think there's a big threat here. So yeah, I think this is not going to go the distance. And again, it's not going to be a one-punch knockout. It's going to be an accumulation of punishment where the ref is going to say you've had enough. All
right. So are there any other bets that you think might have value on this fight, or do you think that that Mayweather inside the distance at -153 is just the best bet that there is, and just stick with that one?
That is the best bet that there is. I know there's some prop bets that look at the stoppages in the middle rounds. If you can find some value there, anywhere between 5 and 9, I think would be a good pick. But inside the distance, I don't think this thing is going far, and I don't think there's nothing that Conor can do about it. I think he's going to run himself into a wall. I don't think he knows how to get to a final bell. So Floyd Mayweather inside the distance is my lock. That's
all right. I'll be very interested to see where this line closes. If it closes anywhere different from where it's been over the past few weeks. Andreas Hale, awesome insights as always. Thanks so much. We'll see how it turns out. Andreas' Hale pick is Floyd Mayweather inside the distance -153. Thanks, Andreas.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.